Alright, what's up guys, it's Zerd here, and today we are finally here to take a look at Shiranui, or Dominate, or whatever you want to call it. This deck originally came out in set 12, but seeing as how I was very late with deck profiles anyways, and how set 13 was going to give the deck even more support, I figured I would just wait until this new set dropped to actually cover this deck, so here we are now. So deck was already pretty solid in set 12. Set 13 didn't offer too much, but it did give the deck a few additional cards to throw into the deck. And for all you global players, I will tell you what cards are from set 13 and what cards I would take out, or what my old list was before the set 13 cards. So without further ado, let's go over the list. So excuse me with names, I don't know the names of like half these units as per usual. So yeah, first off, the starter. This thing has anti-retire for one, and its skill is when a unit you dominated attacks, you can put it into soul, draw a card, and then give any unit +3. Any unit matters because any unit includes your opponent's units, because if you don't know how dominate works, you basically steal their, you basically borrow their unit and you swing with it. So if you are hitting their band and getting damage shield power or hit defense or something, sometimes you might want to scale one of their rears to get +3, so you can that dominated unit can still hit. So so that's why that matters there. Sometimes you might want to give the power to the opponent's units so you can actually hit with it. So yeah, the best starter, because at anti-retire it draws, it fuels soul, which is also really relevant, and the power distribution to either side does matter as well. So definitely your best starter. No reason to play anything else. So that's starter grade 1 for Stride Fodder. So this thing can actually have the target search now. It's Stride Fodder. It grabs your Shiranui, which is your main ride. So no reason not to play 4 of it. I'm playing 3 of this dude. He is the Scaler. So basically, his skill is whenever a unit you dominated attacks, it gets +3. So if you have this on the board, every time something that you dominate swings, it gets an additional 3, stacks multiple times per turn. So for example, on something like a Mugen Lord turn, if you're swinging 3 times with like 3 units that you dominated, this thing will get +9. So this thing is really big, and it's really nice because you're whacking your opponent with their own units, they get like increased damage shield, obviously, because they're taking damage. So having a booster that scales is really nice, because then your rears can hit like a good like 21, 26 lines to actually hit over the defensive number. So really good there. The reason I'm only playing 3 is because I wanted to make space for 2 of this card, which is a set 13 card. So his skill is so this guy. So his skill, he has After Image. I don't even know how After Image works, to be honest. I don't think it's ever come up for me. If I remember correctly, it's when something from their bind zone gets added back to the hand, and your hand has 6 or less cards, you can bounce back to your hand. I think something like that. Never happened, but it's there. If you want to read the keyword yourself in English when it comes out, you can do that yourself. Me, I'm too lazy to read it, because I don't think it'll come up for me. But the actual skill you're playing this for is its the other skill, GB1. On play, you can choose to give a unit +2. You can choose to pay the cost of rest it to give a unit +2, and then you bind one of the rears, and then the turn goes back to your hand. So it's the bear. It's a bear skill where you bind a card, where you can bind one on the board. So basically, what this card is used for is just to clear out an intercept, so you can actually face an extra time. +2k is cool too, but realistically, we're only playing this because it can get rid of extra int. Mugen Lord, or not Mugen, Mugen Tenbu can clear the thing it dominates, it can kill the thing it dominates off, but Mugen Lord does not. Since Mugen Lord is your main finisher, because he doesn't kill off the intercept that it dominates, you need some way to get rid of it, otherwise you're attacking into it. So this, along with the old bear, are how you're getting rid of those intercepts without having to attack into it. So that's why I play 2 of this. I think the scale is still more important, that's why I play more of this, but you can play around the ratios if you want. If you want to play like more scales, you can cut down on Stride Fodder, you can cut down on this completely to play a 4th scaler. Back in set 12, I just played 4 scalers straight up, because this thing didn't exist yet, and your other options are all really bad. I think the least bad option was the card that where was a on boost hit, where to Van, you put it to soul, make your opponent discard 1. I think that's the least bad one of to play. So you can play that back in set 12. It's a rare. I'm too lazy to pull it up, but that's what the skill does. That's what the skill does. It goes to soul, make your opponent discard 1 when the attack that it boosted hits a Van. And then finally, the PG we're playing, we are playing the Dominate PG. So so regular PG clause, and then a skill drop zone. When a rear guard you dominate it hits a Van, which is relevant because this does not proc off of Mukuro. So when a rear guard that you dominate it hits the Vanguard, you can pay the cost of put another copy of itself from drop back to the bottom of your deck, add to hand, discard 1. So if you have 2 of this, how this will work? Let's just say you dominate a rear, it hits the van, the problem will come up, you use skill, you put one to the bottom, add this back to hand, and then discard one. So it's good there because this deck isn't too CP reliant, so I don't think the CCPG on the the CC part of the PG on the other PG matters. So this being a potential recyclable PG for like at least one extra use is pretty useful. It doesn't come up every game, but when it does come up, it comes up, and you definitely wish you had this over the other CCPG because, like I said, CB is not too heavy on this deck. So yeah, so that's it for grade 1s. Grade 2s, we're playing 2 the Old Bear, so on play, buying one of your opponent's rears, and then turn goes back to their hand. Main issue with this card is that this card is mandatory bind. You cannot choose to not bind anything, and because of that, sometimes early game when you're forced to ride it, or if you're gonna call it to just try to hit base more times, sometimes you're forced to give your opponent a card back even when you don't want to, and because of that, we're only playing 2 of it. Other than that, this card is still needed to either A, push early, because this deck does not have any ways to deal with intercepts early. If you want to push early, this is the only way to do it. And B, again, on a Mugen Lore turn, you need some way to clear their ints, and this is a way to do it. Next up, we're playing for Fudai, I think is his name. So his skill is GB1 once per turn, Soul Blast 1, choose one of your opponent's rears and call it to an empty rearguard circle, and then their on-place effects don't activate. I'm not going to repeat any of that part, so basically, for Dominate and anything you call, their on-play skills do not activate. You cannot use their skills like you could in the TDG, so there's that. And then his other skill is when any unit attacks, rear van, their units, their van, when something attacks GB1, if your Vanguard is a Shiranui, it gets +2, so this thing scales really big. The first skill doesn't come up too often because for the most part, most decks aren't completely emptying out their board. But you're mainly playing this because this thing can scale really big. So because every time something swings, it gets +2. This thing, he just scales really big numbers, and that's pretty good. So for him, and then 4 of, in my opinion, the best grade 2 in the deck, the Genkai. So its skill is GB1. When a unit you dominated attacks, if your Vanguard is Shiranui, Soul Blast 1, CB1 to draw 1, and he gets +2. This skill is not once per turn, and because of that, Soul is very important in this deck. Yeah, it's because not much you can draw multiple cards per turn. Against non-removal decks, a very common play is you put this in the back row so that when Shiranui uses its stride bonus to dominate attack, you can get an extra draw of it. So this card is very good, and in my opinion, the best grade 2 in the deck. So definitely no reason not to max it. And then finally, we are playing 3 of the new bear, the Tamahagane Metsu, I think it's name. So hit skill is on place, bind the top card of your deck. Again, this is mandatory, which is I think the worst part about this card is that it's mandatory. And then its other skill is a GB1 once per turn. When a dominate unit attacks, you can CB1. Oh yeah, this binds face down too, so it doesn't interact with any. It does not interact with Naru, but funnily enough, this card interacts with the leader's Vanish Delete because those also bind face down. So bind card target face down, and then CB1 when a dominant unit attacks, you can CB1, choose one face down card in your bind zone and add it to your hand, and then give it +5. So basically, this card, for all intents and purposes, as long as you play this down and you're intending to use this skill, the second skill, immediately on that turn, it basically just draw 1 +5 for CB1, which is really good because it's additional card draw, which is very nice. Only issue is that if you ride it or call it early, you bind a card without any way to getting it back. So if you bind something you wanted, sucks to be you. You don't have choices in that. It's just stuck there until you get another copy of this card. So there's that. And I haven't actually tested it with Vanish Delete, but I'd assume you can add stuff that they Vanish Delete back to your hand, which is pretty cool, I guess. But that comes up in like one matchup that isn't even common at all. So yeah. But yeah, this card's still good because it basically just receive one, draw one, get a little bit of power. So very good there. And the reason I'm not maxing on it is because of the fact that the mandatory bind actually really hurts sometimes. Sometimes you just don't want to bind something, but so you really want to hold this card until you can actually use the skill to add it back to hand. So because of that, only 3 of it. And this card, this Tamahagane, this bear is a set 13 card. I think what I was playing before in the previous set, I think I was playing a third of the old bear, and then I was playing for a 2 slot. I think I was just playing 2 GB1 12k attackers, just because solo attacker is nice, and it makes pretty good numbers with this scaling booster off of 1 dominate. So I think that's what I was playing before in my old list. But I think those last few slots are kind of whatever in set 12. You can max out on bear if you want, but again, the issue of bear forcing a bind early on really sucks. That's why I didn't want to max out on it. And I thought the GB1 12k actually did something. So yeah. But those last 2 or 3 slots are completely up to you, in my opinion. So yeah. And onwards to grade 3s. So and triggers, I guess. So heal guard. Heal guards are heal cards. I'm not gonna go over these. And then, oops. And then next up, we're actually playing 2 of the Soul Link crits. So this card skill is it's like all the other Soul Link crits. When you're banned with Shiranui, with grade 3 or higher ban with Shiranui attacks, put in a soul, draw 1, get +5, and then damage zone is also a draw trigger. The reason I play this, back in set 12, I actually did not play this because I didn't think you had too many soul issues before, because you didn't. The only thing you used soul on was the Genkai, and I think you had enough leverage with your soul that you didn't need the extra soul. But I think come set 13 with Mukuro eating up 2 soul for its 1 use, I think having an extra soul, if you see this, is actually really good because yeah, like you need soul, and this card is a way to get soul. Drawing your early soul is also pretty good because you draw 1, you can scale your bane even bigger. It sucks that it's not stride fodder. I think that's the main thing I don't like about these cards. Otherwise, I think these cards would be pretty good. But the fact that it's not stride fodder, the fact that it is a crit is kind of awkward sometimes. But the fact that this card is a crit does help you push early, but sometimes you just want to push your opponent to 5 and you flip a crit when you don't want it, and you keep them at 4. So they're not at 5 for Mugen Lord on the next turn. Is kind of troublesome sometimes, but I think this deck does actually have enough soul issues that I will actually want to play this card to sometimes facilitate 1 extra soul. So that's why I'm playing 2 crits. I think these last 2 slots can be whatever you want. If you don't like the crits, personally, I think you can play a 4th copy of this guy, which is just another scaler, and then 1 copy of the other Shiranui, right, the original Shiranui. But I personally like the crits, that's why I play 2 of it. And then next, the scaler, his advanced skill on plays you dominate a rear never comes up because you don't ever want to ride this card. And then GB1, when a rear guard attacks, so something you dominate when your own rear attacks, he gets +2. So he also scales to get really big. So that's why we play 3 of this guy. The reason I don't play the other Shiranui in the deck at all is the Echo Rise, because I just don't think it's very good. Realistically, I never want to actually go into that Shiranui. So because that Shiranui also costs soul too. That's also an issue with the card. Also costs soul as well. So yeah, I just don't see a reason to actually play that Shiranui as a backup. You never want to be on it. If you're on it, you're probably not winning anyways, because you really want to be on this Shiranui, the Shiranui Oboro. So yeah, so that's why I'm personally not playing that Shiranui at all in the deck. I'd rather just have an extra scaler in the deck. So there's that, and then finally the main ride of the deck is the Shiranui Oboro. This is the rank art, if you don't know. And then so its first skill is at the beginning of your turn. I think it's the beginning of your turn. You can choose 1 card in your opponent's drop zone and call to an empty rear, and then on place effects do not activate. This is very relevant because sometimes you just need something to actually dominate to hit. Usually you call grade 3 this because grade 3 scale the best when when you dominate them to swing with stuff. So that's the first skill, and this skill does, since it's the same timing as like Luard's free stride skill, where if you go second and ride it, you don't get to use it because you already missed like the timing to actually use this card. So just keep that in mind. But every turn after that, you get the option to call something from drop as long as they have an empty rear circle. And then its stride bonus skill is completely free, so no cost. On stride, you can choose 1 of your opponent's rears and dominate it. Give it +4 and attack with it. Attack anything you want. You still have to follow intercept ruling, so if they have 2 ints up and you dominate 1 of the intercepts, for example, you still have to swing into the other end. You can't just swing straight into van. But if they have no, and you can't swing the other rears either if they have intercepts up, so you have to swing to the intercept. But if they have no intercepts up, you can swing at van, you can swing at the rear, whatever you want. So really good there. And then on ride +3k. So yeah. So yeah, it's really good because everything it does is completely free, which is really good. So you can use your soul and your CB for everything else. So yeah. So that's it for the main deck and G zone. So 1 harmonics, won't go over that. One of this dude on hit CB 1 make your opponent discard card at the start of the turn. We play 1 of this because sometimes you just don't have like a good board state to dominate. This rarely ever comes up, but in the games where it does come up, this is like the only card that does something in a like a really wonky board state. Like for example, if you just say for example you went second and your opponent just like emptied out their entire board and you have nothing to dominate and you don't have a Fudai in hand to call something from their drop, or their drop is empty. This is like the 1 card that can actually do something that doesn't feel like completely terrible to go into. Only costs 1 CB, make your opponent discard 1 card. Not the best effect, but it's something to do if your opponent actually just like emptied out their entire board and nothing to drop to call out. So yeah. Next up, we're playing 2 of this guy. So this guy's skill is dominate. At the start of your battle phase, choose on your opponent's rear cards, dominate it, and attack with it. So basically just a stride bonus, but doesn't give power either. This card also does not come out too often because Magen Tengu is a strict improvement of this card for the most part. The only situation where this card really comes up is you don't have the CB to do everything. So For example, if you'd rather draw cards with either Genkai or the Bear, you'd go into this and you don't have the CB to use Magen Tenbu as well as those cards, or use these cards multiple times, or both of them. So for example, if you have like 2 CB and you want to use like both him and him at the same time, this card lets you dominate something and still use both skills. So this card basically used when you're basically only using when you're really tight on CB, basically. So yeah, so 2 of that, 1 of this guy. GB2 on play, you can CB2 flip anything in your G zone. You choose 4 cards from your opponent's hand, I think at random, and then you bind everything else. And then at the end of the turn, that goes back to your hand. So this card can randomly rip cards out of your opponent's hand and randomly sack going like that. I think I'm actually at a point where I actually got robbed by this card. I think I had exactly 7 cards in hand, and he chose, my opponent randomly hit the only 3 cards in my hand and left 4 non-defensive, and I died. So yeah, this card can randomly steal games. Doesn't come too often. I don't think I've ever gone to this card, but it's there as an option, I guess. And then now we go to the actual strides, which are the GRs. First off, not you. 4 Magen Tenbus. So his skill is dominate once per turn. CB1 G Persona flip to choose one of your opponent's rear guards and dominate it. And then it gets plus, and the unit that it gets that you dominate gets plus 3k per face-up card in your G zone, so it can get really big. And then you dominate, you swing with it, and then at the end of that, you retire the breed that you dominate. So you get rid of it too, so really nice. So a very common line is they double interrupt, stride bonus, dominate intercept, clear the intercept. Magen Tenbu, dominate that intercept that's on the board, swing at van with it, or swing at something with it, and then Magen Tenbu will kill it off, so you can go face after that. So really good for that. So it's your ideal first stride. I'm playing 4 because I think 4 is optimal. Can you get away with 2? Probably. There are enough games where I go into all 4, or rather, there are enough games where you might actually want 4 that I think having the option is nice. I think back in set 12, I think you actually needed 4 because if your opponent, if you push the 5 and they ever heal down, you would like literally never want to go for Mugen Lord because you are always risking a defensive. I think come set 13, where you have Mukuro as like an alternate stride option to go into, where your opponent like heals down or something, I think it's fine to have only 2 because you just go to Mukuro instead. But I still think having 4 is definitely a very nice thing to have because you know, having more options is always nice, and your best don't think about it, just go into stride is still the Magen Tenbu. So in my opinion, I think you should aim to get 4. But if you're on a budget, I think 2 is probably manageable for now. So yeah. So that's 4 Magen Tenbus. Next up, Mugen Lord. He's your main finisher. So his skill is CB, once per turn, CB1 G Persona flip to dominate 1 card per face-up card in your G zone. Give all those, or rather, CB pay cost to choose 1 unit per face-up card in G zone and give them +4. So you can choose your own units just to scale for power. And then afterwards, any opponent's unit that you chose, you dominate those units, and then if they can all swing, at van, ignore intercept. So if your opponent's at 5 and they have full board, and you just have that much shit face up in your G zone, you can dominate 5, and they all swing at van once at a time. So that's like 5 swings to face, and then you still have your own swings to go with. So this card is very lethal once your opponent's at 5. It's definitely your best finisher. You only play 2 because you only, realistically speaking, that 1 Magen Tenbu turn you're going to should be game, or that 1 Mugen Lord turn you should go to should be game. So that's why I think only 2 is enough. And again, since he doesn't since his scaling doesn't scale up like Magen Tenbu's per face up thing you have in your G zone, the things you don't only get +4, so you don't scale super well. 1 defensive shuts down like all your extra swings after the first one. So this is a card you realistically should only go for your points at 5 unless you're really desperate and need to go for game on that turn. So yeah, only 2 of this guy, and then only 1 of the new strides because Soul is an issue and it's not a G flip. So Shiranui Mukuro skill is GB2 once per turn, Soul Blast 2, flip anything in your G zone face up, discard 1 card, and then dominate your opponent's Vanguard and have that van swing at all their rears, and then when you swing, you draw 2. So basically this card reads board wipe, draw 2, which is pretty solid. Funny interaction with this card: if you dominate a Legion, because there are 2 vans, you draw 4. Shouldn't come up very often because Legions don't exist anymore, but I had that come up once where I actually did not know that's how that worked. And I overhanded cards because I didn't know I drew 4 cards off of it. But that's a cool little interaction. If you dominate Legion, you draw 4. But this card reads Soul Blast 2, ditch 1, clear their board, draw 2. Oh yeah, and you perform draw checks too. So when your opponent's advanced, means you perform 2 drive checks because the opponent or however many drives that band has. Usually, I think it's only you can only get 2. So yeah. So you draw 2, you get 2 drive checks, you just clear the board up. So very good, very good one of. Doesn't come up every game, but when it comes up, it's pretty good. So yeah. So that's it for the main deck. That's it for the actual deck profile. Pretty long, actually, 20 minutes. But yeah, so that's it for this part, and I'll see you guys for some games right after this. So I'll see you guys there. Alright, so for the first game, I think for both games actually, I played against Narus for both games. I think this was like the second or last day of the Naru event. So if you don't know, JP ladder right now is literally all Narus and Nubas. Nubas also being a very popular deck because it's relatively cheap too to build for the most part if you play super budget. But ladder right now on JP is all Naru and Nubas. So yeah, here just keep a Raikou Stride Fodder and then toss the crit back because you don't really want to hold it. You rather like trigger it, realistically speaking. So yeah. So we go second here. Always nice. This deck, although it doesn't play anywhere like at all like Pale Moon or Alt Mal or like your the other Unga Bunga decks you're used to, but this deck is essentially just another flavor of it. You go second, you smack their face in, first strike, push them to 5, second strike, ship your game. So yeah. So here, a very nice hand. Just ride up, but then you can use. I guess I don't push here because I want to hold the stride fodder or hold everything else in hand. So yeah. Just push for the 1. Would have gotten punished anyway, so good thing I didn't. And yeah, so this deck does actually want to like hit face early as fast as possible because the faster they're at 5, the more checks you get on the first stride, and then the harder they die on second stride. So you do actually want to aggro where you can, but I think just because with the hand I have here, there's nothing really I want to discard for the stride because I want to hold both bears, I want to hold the Genkais, I want to hold the stride fodder. So I think here just lift it up to what will I draw on the next turn. So yeah, that's probably why I did an aggro here. So no more retaliation for the aggro here from my opponent as well. Blank a heal, kinda sucks. But yeah, here I kinda don't have a choice anymore. I think I kinda have to toss something. And as you can see here, this is like the mandatory bind, which really sucks. So I immediately check. So that really sucks there because I binded a crit that could have potentially flipped. So probably wouldn't have because I would have shuffled the deck here anyways. But as you can see here, it definitely does suck that the card is like a mandatory bind. And here, seeing how Naru just doesn't have like earlier removal, I slam that 1 Genkai to force them to commit cards, so I actually have something to dominate, and then I leave the other one in the back so that I can have 2 draws on the next turn. And if he damage denies me, I go to the double rush shrine instead, the one that doesn't cost CV. If he doesn't and just hits my face, then I go Magan Tengu instead. So there's a Vanquisher Sparking, the new ride for Vanquisher. I will cover this deck eventually. Probably the thing I'll cover after Nubas is this deck. So if any of you guys were interested in that, you can always look up for that for like in like a few days or so, I guess, after this video goes up. So it gives me 2, and so this is a situation where you would consider going for the double rush ride instead because you want to save the CB for other stuff. Yeah, so it's here I go for this instead because I wanted to save both my CBs for one for Genkai, one for the bear, so I get 2 cards. Or alternatively, I could always just use Genkai twice instead, but I think here I'd rather use both because because I want whatchamacallit, I want the scaling off the bear to make a 21 column. Yeah, Genkai, draw 1, drew a PG, very nice. I think starter here I don't think I need to use, but I think use it anyway just because I want to draw an extra card. Yeah, because a lot of the times the starter you just use to draw a card. You don't like particularly care what you actually thing with it. I don't actually care for the power a lot of times, but I hear that power actually does matter because since I'm not going to Magan Tenbu, I can't actually clear this int with like a skill to retire or anything like that. So here I actually did need the extra power on the Genkai to actually let this thing hit solo. And here I binded an extra crit. So dominate that, I just swing that at the rear. Doesn't get power, so the Genkai can actually hit into it. And here I probably use the bear to make a 21 column so I can actually actually hit Van twice here. Yeah, I think here I just decided what I wanted, and I take the crit because I already have Shred Fire in hand, no reason to grab anymore. At least that's just how I saw it. Kill off the starter, kill off the rear, and then go face twice. I'm no defensive, so my band's on a 1 pass now. Get the 1 pass, so he's gonna push the 5 here. And yeah, points at 5. Next turn, if they don't heal down, Mugen Lord is probably game because that has a lot of checks. I guess the one thing I should mention here is that because of the fact that I went into the double rush ride, it doesn't flip, right? As opposed to something like Mugen Lord, you actually get 1 less check with Magen Tenbu because you only get to because Mugen Lord himself flips 1. You get 2 face up in your U zone after using its skills, so you get to swing face twice with 2 units that you dominated. That's 1 less as opposed as if you went to Magen Tenbu, because Magen Tenbu itself would flip 1 and then Mugen Lord will flip another 1, so that would give you 3 things to swing with that. 3 things to dominate to swing and face with. So Mugen Lord here is actually 1 less swing. Then as opposed to if I were to go for whatchamacallit, Mugen Lord and Magen Tenbu on first ride instead. So I'm going here, just push for like 2 damage. But here, seeing as he didn't heal down, I just go for Magen Tenbu anyways. I have 2 ways to clear it if I want to. So just so here, as you can see there, I skipped past it, but I called the Sparking from the drop zone, dominated it, and swung with it because I need to clear the ints out eventually at some point anyway. So just might as well get rid of one now because I can't dominate 3 units anyways. But if I really needed to, I could have just used the Fudai here to call something from drop and get the 3rd one if I needed to. So yeah, there's that. And then call everything down because I want to scale my lanes bigger to be bigger, and then dominate the 2, and they both swing a face. That goes 1. This lets me draw an extra card. Ask for a heal guard, and then one in the back will also ask for a heal guard, unless he doesn't counter line. Yeah, there goes 2 heal guards. My entire right column is asking for I have 2 columns asking for PGs now, and then here you slay out either the Grey One or the Bear to ask for to get rid of the intercept, so you can both face 3 times here. So this 1 turn is 5 checks, and this wasn't even the optimal turn because on an optimal turn you'd have dominated 3 there and you'd ask for 6 checks, 6 cards all at once. But here I go 26. And then here I was considering if I wanted to go play for a 2 pass, which I think I did, so I actually don't think I actually sucked this in. And I don't think I saw it, but yeah, so blank the heals. Only saw 1, so that left side is still only asking for a heal guard. That's 2. Oh, and he just dies here, so didn't have the guards. Like I said, this turn was 5 checks. If he had it on a more optimized first ride turn, that would have been 6 checks. So yeah. So as you can see here, pretty threatening, right? Go second, you push them to 5, second stride, they don't heal it down, 5, 6 checks. And they're probably dead to that, so yeah. Very, very powerful there. So that's it for game 1. And here in game 2, we play against Narus again. But I think this time it was Erads instead of Vanquisher. And this time we go first too, so a different point of view, I guess. So Erads, honestly, I've gotten sacked on ladder more by Erads than Vanquisher, but regardless of that bias, I still think Vanquisher is by far the better deck. But I think Erads are like a cool budget option for other people to play because I don't think that actually needs any GRs to actually function. So it's a cool budget option, but not something I'll cover at all whatsoever. I don't really care for that deck, nor do I have the cards. But yeah, it's there for the more budget players, I guess. Honestly, I think I'm just gonna skip through this early part, and I'm just gonna go straight to thing. So I push here because going first, you do want to push a little bit of damage at the very least. Yeah, he goes like this, which is like cool, I guess. And I don't have a ride here actually. Yeah, so I think this game I actually miswrote. I think so. I wrote the wrong thing, but I think I still ended up winning. which is cool, I guess. Here, I just go Mugen Tenbu. Unfortunately, all these cards don't have this thing doesn't have Shiranui name, which kind of sucks. So I guess here's what you want. Might want the backup ride instead. But yeah, I drew the Shridefather, so I think I actually searched it out. But this thing does not need Shiranui Vanguard name, so this thing can still add me whatever I bind it back to my hand. So I dominate the grade 2. I just swing at the van, use the bear to draw 1, or draw whatever I bind it back to my hand, and then use the starter here to make the bear a 17, just to make it a solo attacker. Another bear. And I think here I actually did slam down the Shridefather to search for the what's his face? Search for a Shiranui for next turn. I actually don't think I ended up rewriting because I need a Shridefather anyways. I think I was just like, oh yeah, he just died a Mugen Lord here, so yeah. So make 2 columns. The left side's kind of scaling's kind of whack. It's a defensive too, so unfortunately I don't get to poke him to check 5. But because he did hit defense, I do get to play for a heal instead, which is really nice. So I heal back down to 3 and push the 5. No card check here, but healing down is also really nice. Not that I needed it because I was at 3 guards anyway, so I probably wasn't dying to anything here anyway. So yeah. So opponent does their turn. He goes into this thing, gets a crit, which is cool. Whatever, you know. He like guard checks me. And here I don't think I rewrote here because I'm like, oh, I just want the Shridefather instead. So no rewrite, and you just go straight to Mugen Lord. Right. Nope, never mind. I just had to BM. I guess here I get to show off the Mukuro instead, which is cool because Mukuro does have Shiranui, so both of these Genkais can actually use its skill. But here I guess here actually it is better because it's realistically the same things. I don't have a way to clear the intercepts anyways, so realistically it's 3 checks like this regardless of how I do it. But this lets me draw cards and clear his board out, so pretty cool there. And it lets me draw with the Genkai because now I'm on a Shiranui Vanguard. So discard 1, dominate the van, and it swings at everything. Draw 2. And I have 1 soul left, so I can use the 1 soul here to use one of the Genkais to draw an extra card, do a 3rd heal, and then here perform the 2 drive checks to get an extra draw. Kill off all the rears. And you go face 3 times now, which is very cool. Very nice. Go battle, so left side, because that probably never hitting for PG. I just checked if any crits left, and seeing as how the first shot already asked for a PG, no reason to swing in like a different no reason to play for a trigger. So just do the soul and crit, draw an extra card. And no triggers left, so nothing to actually check for here. And I think this was game. Oh, never mind. He had 3 PGs in it. But seeing here is how even though I didn't end the game like I might have with Mugen Lord, this cleared out his entire board and took out 3 cards out of his hand. So he's going into turn with 2 cards in hand anyway. So there's not a whole lot of anything too threatening he can do. He's also not on Descendant, so the Zillion isn't very threatening either. So even though he lived, I wasn't exactly scared of dying here because of the fact that they just didn't have anything to play with. So that's like the other way to look at going for Mukuro instead of Mugen just for a game. So that's pretty cool there. And this thing could actually wipe my board, but I think opponent's Gook is net playable probably. So that's it for game 2. Was there a reason why I went on for so much longer? Yes, there was. I guess we'll just quickly skim through this game. So the 3rd game apparently. So yeah, this was a lot more of a natural game than what happened in that last game where I was on the wrong ride. So here, this is a very standard first ride turn. This is the more Mugen Tenbu plus Bear plus Genkai to actually retire stuff, actually dominate stuff, hits face, and draw cards. So here he hit defensive, so I just dominate the Helena to kill it, and then just swing at the rear to get rid of that. So this just clears out 2 rears at once, so it's pretty cool there. No way to scale his Helena to actually hit poke for a van hit, so that's why I did not do that there. Alright, that's why I didn't swing it at van. Bear was skilled until to 14, the left side already 21. And then starter here too. Draw 1. Here I actually gave power to the wrong side because my initial thought here was, oh, I'm gonna stand on both the crits and swing with them and swing to actually hit face 3 times here. But because I give the power to the other side, I should have given power to the bear to make 22 with the crit was behind, because right now the bear does not scale 21 with the crit, but if I gave the starter power to the bear, it would have scaled with the crit. So here, to fix my mistake, I did call the stride fodder now instead of both the crits. So that's just me not being able to do math at the moment here. So yeah, here power should have gone there just to make the bear scale with the crit. So instead I only call one crit down to only stuck 1 in. But regardless of that, there's still 3 checks, so very, very powerful there. This was first stride, check 3 times, so pretty good. First stride, 3 checks. And then next turn, he's if he doesn't heal down, he's super, super dead to Mujin Lord. I see the 1 trigger, so I ask for the PG off this swing. He has it, and then he does his turn. He goes into VMAX again. My opponent here is actually really bad, because they... so here... looking at my own hand, it didn't matter, obviously, because I had this many cards in my hand, but my opponent here decided to swing his crit van into me. So I didn't go to 5, and Sigma, or I have to call him Sugma, didn't actually get to check me. So he turned this from 1 PG check in basically he chose to go for 1 PG check instead of 2 checks with Descendant. And what he could have done here, he could just swung Ban to rear and then swing this into the rear, and then Sugma could have hit for 2 checks, but he hit no triggers, I hit defensive, so he technically did the right thing. But I think in a situation like this where you're like where you're like, you know you're dead, you go for the option that gives you more checks in case they just don't have the cards. So here, at least I would have done that. I would have gotten punished for it, but I think that would have been better, because you also doing that also lets you cycle more cards through your deck, because of them deciding to let Sugma draw 2 for whatever reason on restand. Yeah, but here, Mujin Lord is definitely game, because dominate the thing in the back, swing at the rear, dominate the thing in the back, swing at the intercept, get rid of it, and then call down a bunch of things at scale, and it's game. He already lost all his cards last turn, so there's no way he's surviving this turn. And here you also get to see the fact that you can choose to give your own unit power just to scale it. So here I give an extra 4 to one of my own units. So here, poke, he had to heal, and poke again, and he is dead. And then even if he healed, I had 2 columns that scaled over 6 heals, so it did not matter even if he healed down there. So yeah, so got a bonus like 2. You got like 2.5 games. So yeah, so that's it for the games for this deck. Tell me guys if you're a global player, tell me guys if you're excited about this deck. For next month, if you're a JV player, tell me guys what you think about this deck down below in the comments. Like and subscribe, all the good stuff, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.